Not received a check all season. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte with the KBLA Talk 1580 editorial. In a public opinion survey commissioned by KBLA Talk 1580 and conducted by Aviteris, the black voters surveyed were highly enthusiastic about the March 2024 primary. The race for Los Angeles District Attorney is being hotly contested. Incumbent DA George Gascon's efforts to implement progressive criminal justice reforms have generated pushback from within his own office, the broader law enforcement community, and some in the general public. He was the subject of at least 2 failed attempts to qualify recalls. The concerns about crime are reflected in the polling results of black voters. Nearly 1 in 4 have been victims of violent crime or have someone close to them who has been a victim. 1 in 5 black voters have personally been victims of property crime in the last 2 years. A majority of respondents feel less safe than they did a year or 2 ago, but they reject the notion that criminal justice reform has gone too far. This year, black voters will be looking for candidates who speak to the complexity of the issues as opposed to a one-size-fits-all approach. Nearly half of black voters have an unfavorable view of DA Gascon, but his challengers are largely unknown. Nearly half of the black voters are also undecided, which means there's a clear opportunity for candidates to connect with black voters. Our poll makes 3 things abundantly clear. Black voters matter. Black voters are closely following this race, and the candidates for DA have a lot of work to do. KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to the mobilization and use of the franchise to empower our audience to identify and pursue their interests in advancing equity, inclusive representation, and multiracial solidarity. For KBLA Talk 1580, I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte. We welcome your feedback.
First things first.
Things first, it's the DU General, Money B. I'ma put you up on the schedule, 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not 2 and 7. Let's go. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. First. Me and Dominique DiPrima go way back. Tight, Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in. The first things first with the queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go sis. First things first.
Good morning and God bless. I'm Dominique DiPrima. The show is called First Things First. And my first thing today and every day, giving thanks, giving praises, and asking for blessings from God, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders, and getting it going. Happy election season. Happy Talking Point Tuesday. Happy Pisces season. It's a lot going on now. For those who are new, or some people just like to hear me say it. People tell me this. This is how the show goes. Hour 1, we look to the local, left coast, what's happening on this side of town. Hour 2, we go national, international, and beyond. And in the third hour, we do a deep dive with a person or persons of interest. Today, we are, sort of on that schedule. Me, you, and this telephone, microphone situation right now for hour 1. And you are invited to call 800-920-1580 anytime. But especially right now, got something to say, something that is of concern to you. In the second hour, we'll be joined by attorney Connie Rice. She is a renowned civil rights attorney. She has sued the LAPD more times than we can count, but has also worked with them under Chiefs Beck and Bratton to try to, and I believe even more, to try to help improve the Los Angeles Police Department. She wrote an op-ed concerning what we need to consider before we hire the next chief of police. And she'll be here to break that down with me and with you. If you haven't seen the op-ed yet, it's in the LA Times. If you have seen it, maybe you have a question, some thoughts, some conversation around that. She'll be joining us hour 2. In hour 3, we will be talking with Dr. Uche Blackstock, MD, holding up the book for those of you who are in the chat on YouTube, youtube.com, KBLA 1580. Her book is Legacy, A Black Physician Reckons with Racism in Medicine. And this should be an illuminating conversation. It's quite an engaging book, and it's something we all know about, and we kind of talk about, particularly in reference to the black maternal mortality rate, which has been really in the conversation of late, and then, of course, the groundbreaking book, Medical Apartheid. But this is coming from a doctor, not only a doctor, but a second-generation black doctor who, has a real inside-out view of what is going on and what we maybe could do to make things a bit better. Meanwhile, it is election season. We've got a lot to cover, and I want to talk a little bit about what we've learned so far and what we've still to figure out. 800-920-1580. And I get these questions all the time. When are you going to have so-and-so? When are you going to have such and such? Well, not every single race do we cover. We might not be doing the Gardena City Council, but I always have opportunities for people to call in for any office that they might be running for, and we'll offer them 3-4 minutes, depending on the day and what the schedule looks like, to just explain why we should vote for them, what they stand for. But those that we do cover, and those tend to be the bigger races or contests that particularly impact our demographic, our location where we broadcast from, Lamert Park, Africatown, USA. Those we do a deeper dive in. All of the podcasts are available on the website, and they're grouped together under Election Information Station right on the landing page of KBLA1580.com. So you could go through and compare, say, all the people running for judge or all the folks trying to get Holly Mitchell's seat in the Supervisorial District 2. If any are missing, it means either they're scheduled and you'll be hearing them in the next week or so, or they have not responded yet. And you'd be amazed how often that happens for folks that are chasing eyeballs, chasing ears, to hear their story, to see what they have to offer. They're trying to get to voters. Many times they will overlook these invitations, and I've never understood it. I don't know if it's because we're a black-focused station or just they're too busy, but it happens. So if they're not there, we can talk about it anyway, because there's plenty of information out there. There are voter guides, there are endorsements, and I tend to compare and contrast. Like, I'll look at, okay, who is Congresswoman Maxine Waters? Who is she endorsing? Who is the LA County Democratic Committee? Who are they endorsing? LACDP, the LA County Democratic Party. What are these other groups? Who are they calling for? And that way I compare, contrast, and I take it into account along with what I already know, maybe through conversations I've had or positions that these folks have taken on certain issues over the years. And believe it or not, even though people say endorsements don't mean much, to me they do, because if you're getting endorsements from people who stand for everything that I'm always fighting against, that's a red flag. It might not be a disqualifier. I could say, well, maybe this person is a uniter. Maybe they work with both sides of the aisle. But it's certainly going to give me a pause, and it'll make me look a little deeper into what they stand for. So that's what I do. I haven't done a slate in several years. I used to do them because you guys asked me to, is really why. I had people in my DMs and on my socials saying, hey, we want a voter guide. I haven't done it since I've been at KBLA, partly just because I wanted us to do it together, come to our own conclusions together, and partly because I feel like all of us are getting a little bit more sophisticated, I hope, in being able to discern what this group is saying. Okay, they're endorsed by the LA County Federation of Labor. That means they're probably pro-union, but let's look where they fall on other issues. Is there evidence of anti-blackness? Is there evidence of conservative values and views that don't support my progressive outlook? That's how I sort through things during election season. And I've said repeatedly that I think one of the most important things on our ballot this time is the LA County District Attorney's race. And a lot of us became more aware of DAs and what they do during the controversy around Jackie Lacey, who was our first African-American woman district attorney, but who ended up being very conservative and actually lost a bid for re-election, which is what led to our current progressive DA, George Gascon, entering office. Jackie Lacey was, for example, mentored by and endorsed by the former district attorney, Steve Cooley. And that, to me, should have been a warning sign. I guess I was so caught up in, the fact that we were going to get a black woman district attorney. She came on my show. At the time, it was Front Page, and asked for our votes. And by us, I'm talking about black voters at that point. And many of us complied. I know I voted for her the first time. But then at a certain point, we've got to get beyond, okay, yay, we have a black woman, and look at what is the person doing. And she was quick to apply the death penalty. And if you looked at that track record of actually LA being the most likely to send a person to death row of any jurisdiction in California, that right there is a warning sign. And then on top of that, all of them were black or Latina. We didn't send any white people to the execution chamber, only black people and Latinos. And that was a problem for me. And then I could list all the other problems. The voters obviously agreed. We voted her out. We voted in George Gascon. And it was during a time when we were very, very focused on the racial reckoning, on eliminating anti-blackness because of George Floyd, because of the ongoing work of groups like Black Lives Matter and others who mobilized around the murder of Trayvon Martin, right? Which that was 2013. So by the time 2020 comes along, many have been reactivated in this new era of accountability for 7-8 years. And so this wave of consciousness, this wave of reform and progressive thought around how we want to remake our justice system propels George Gascon into the district attorney seat. Now, Gascon is a former LAPD officer. I mean, he's actually walked the beat, right? He's been assistant chief in the Los Angeles Police Department and district attorney in the reportedly, or reputedly, I should say, liberal city of San Francisco. I say reputedly because I'm from there. And just like our state, it's a tale of two cities. It's a tale of two states. It can be bipolar. It definitely has a strong reactionary, conservative, wealthy element. And it has a very progressive, liberal, forward-thinking element. So, it's all combined in one city, just like we're all combined in one state. But that election, we were very clear. We, the progressive voters, and we, the people of the state of California, who had been swept up in this idea that anti-blackness and anti-low-income people does not have to be part of our judicial system, does not have to be part of our jails, does not have to be part of our policing. And we were on a mission to root it out. And so where are we now? DA George Gascon has survived 2 recall campaigns, both of which were heavily backed by one Steve Cooley, former LA district attorney who is a Republican, was, and who, wake up call, hello, Dominique, connect the dots, was a mentor and supporter of Jackie Lacey. And once again, we have to look at this race through the lens of history, not just through the lens of right now, but through the lens of history. What is it that we're trying to accomplish? Where have we been, and where are we trying to go? All right. And by this we right now, I'm talking about we, Los Angeles, LA County, are at a crossroads, right? Are we going to throw away the progressive reforms that we fought so hard for, or are we going to see them through? What is going to happen with our next police chief, district attorney, police chief, both open spots right now that are so pivotal in how we do justice? And so I think it's really a moment for us to pay attention and focus our best brain. We have the dumb brain, all of us have it, and our best brain, our higher mind, and really look at what we're doing and where we are going based on not just this moment in time, not just back to 2020, but at least back to 1992. Love to hear your thoughts, 800-920-1580. I'm Dominique DiPrima, and this is Unapologetically Progressive, KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do Black history every single day. In fact, as the only Black talk radio station west of the Mississippi, we are Black history. Our annual Black History Month luncheon is fast approaching, and we want to be sure to give you ample time to get your company, organization, church, or group to join us at this year's celebration on the last day of the month, Thursday, February 29th at noon. Last year, we honored iconic local Black media personalities, including Pat Harvey, Jim Hill, Mark Brown, Beverly White, Sandy Banks, and Pat Prescott, and raised $20,000 in scholarships. This year, we're honoring Black Hollywood creatives who have used their artistic genius as climate justice champions. At this year's luncheon, we will be showcasing and sharing their inspiring work on our big screen. Plus, a scrumptious meal, live music, great company, and lots of fun with your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts. So contact us today at info@smileyaudio.com or call 323-290-4690. That's info@smileyaudio.com or call 323-290-4690. We hope to see you Thursday, February 29th as we close out Black History Month. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
On your period, sudden gushes happen without warning. But now, you can say goodbye to stand-up gush fears thanks to Always Ultra Thins with rapid dry technology. It absorbs gushes 2 times faster than the leading store brand and gives you up to 100% leak-free protection. Hello, clean and comfortable with Always Fear No Gush.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Ray Richardson, your sports connection here at KBLA Talk 1580. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough every Saturday night at 7 for Out of Bounds, the show that brings some flavor to the world of sports for 60 minutes. We take you beyond the scores and press conferences. We give you our point of view, the way Black folks see what's going down. You can join the conversation and give us your analysis at 1-800-920-1580. Out of Bounds every Saturday night at 7 on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
You like your style, though. Did you know one of the best investments you can make? It's in yourself. At My Computer Career, in just a few months, you can start your new career in the high-demand, recession-resistant field of information technology. Isn't it time you invest in you and start a career in networking, cybersecurity, AI, or upskill to boost your current IT career? So get the ROI you deserve at My Computer Career. No experience necessary. Start now at mycomputercareer.edu.
Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Getting back to me and to you, 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. That's the number to call. And, yeah, so I was talking about the district attorney's race for LA County. I think it's very important. I have talked to a number of folks in the contention so far, including our current district attorney, George Gascon, who I've actually interviewed a number of times. I talked to him when he was running. We spoke last week as part of the DA's, the pack of folks running for DA. Of course, he is the incumbent and the front runner at this point by quite a bit. There's no one else who's in double digits at this point, but there are a dozen people running for DA. So it's important to be clear. This is, I would say, 99% likely to go to a runoff election, maybe 95% likely. It's very unlikely that with 12 candidates running, that the incumbent DA, George Gascon, will get more than 50% of the vote to retain his spot. And so it is a bit confusing, but one of the things that for me, and this, you may see it differently, but for me, one of the things that narrows down the field immediately is the fact that a bunch of these people running to be district attorney are employees of the DA's office right now. And they are employees of the DA's office right now who liked things the way they were before Gascon got elected. They were good with business as usual. Business as usual worked just fine for their careers. The gang enhancements, and other enhancements, which often unjustly lock up Black people for ridiculous amounts of time, right? But it looks good on their resume. They were just fine with prosecuting children as adults. Children are not adults. They were okay with the death penalty. And the way that we specifically in LA County were using that death penalty to kill mostly Black people and some Latinos. Certainly under DA Jackie Lacey, no white people were ever sent to death row. Racist policy much? I mean, we talk about anti-Blackness, right? This policy, even if you believe that the state should have the right to terminate people's lives, which I do not, but even if you do, surely we cannot justify a policy that is being applied in a way that is incredibly racist, racially biased. That tracks nationally, but most pronounced is here in LA County. Surely even a policy you believe in, if it's being applied in an extremely anti-Black way, must be at least paused. And then on top of that, these are folks that are okay with the criminalizing of homelessness, the over-arresting of Black people. They're okay with, for the most part, I'm generalizing right now, but if you've been in that office, in the district attorney's office, as a prosecutor, and you are fighting to make things go back the way they were before we started trying to fix this mess, then that's a sign to me that you're not what's next. That has make the DA's office great again. And when were we great exactly? You know what I mean? It's like when we talk about Make America Great Again. When were we great exactly? Was it when black people were enslaved, or was it the Jim Crow era? Like, how far back did you want to go? And great for whom? And I think those are the questions we have to ask ourselves in this district attorney's race. You know, we had a conversation the other day. I don't know if you guys remember that we were talking about the trend, and I think it's overly hyped, but I have experienced it in conversations and online, the trend of black people and some Latino people towards MAGA, that they're going to vote Trump. And I think we do have a reactionary streak. Even those of us who are considered progressive or liberal, right? Much has been made of the fact that black people can be, and I think this is true of Latinos too, though I'm speculating, I guess, or going off of my empirical observations, that we can be socially conservative, right? The anti-LGBTQ streak that is prevalent, and particularly some older folks in our community, which I think has actually moved, is improving. You know, the anti-civil liberties streak and the reactionary response to crime, right? When we're just like, please, 3 strikes, please lock them up, throw away the key, I want to be safe. And then it backfires, and we realize that the only people being locked up with the key thrown away are us and our children, grandchildren, nephews and nieces. And then we swing the other way and we acknowledge the racism. And then we want to go back and say, oh, it's not about race. It just didn't, you know, that guy was a gang member. Da, 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 da. But the fact of the matter is, if you look at the data, and we always have to look at the data, even when we're feeling emotional, maybe especially when we feel emotional, we understand that those policies, those carceral-oriented policies, even though they may sound good when we're having a reactionary moment, they always harm our community. I have been on this microphone long enough to see it, and see it again. And I see it right now on the horizon because America's in a I'm scared mood. And we need to be clear. If we're going to root anti-blackness, racism, white supremacy out of our systems and out of the folks that are in those systems, then we can't whiplash and backlash every time we make some progress. And that's where I believe we are in the district attorney's race right now. Time for news, traffic, and sports, and we'll continue the conversation on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Good morning, I'm Ray Harris, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Congress is on a 2-week recess as the clock is ticking to fund the government. Lawmakers are not expected back on Capitol Hill until February 28th, 2 days before the March 1st deadline to fund some government agencies. Women generally exercise less than men do, but new research suggests they see greater health benefits from it. A national study found that women who exercised regularly, at least 2.5 hours of moderate exercise or 75 minutes of vigorous exercise per week, had a 24% lower risk of dying over the study period compared to women who did not exercise. By contrast, men who exercised regularly were 15% less likely to die than men who did not exercise. And that's the latest. I'm Ray Harris on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
If you like using debit over credit, shouldn't you also get rewarded? Well, now you can with Discover Cashback Debit. It's a checking account that rewards everyone with cash back on everyday purchases with no fees, period. Check out eligibility and terms at discover.com/cashbackdebit. Discover Bank, member FDIC.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man.
Lakers legends Michael Cooper and Jerry West are among 14 finalists for the class of 2024 Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. Cooper helped the Lakers win 5 NBA championships. He also was an 8-time selection on the NBA's all-defensive team. This is the second time West is getting Hall of Fame consideration. He was inducted as a player in 1980. This one is for his work as an executive with the Lakers, Memphis Grizzlies, Golden State Warriors, and the Clippers. West is still working for the Clippers as a consultant. The inductees will be announced April 6th during the NCAA Final Four in Phoenix. Clippers coach Ty Lue was fined $35,000 by the NBA for criticizing the refs after the Clippers beat Golden State on February 14th. Lue was ejected from the game early in the fourth quarter after getting 2 technicals. Lue was one of only 5 NBA coaches that had not received a tech all season. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is the exclusive media sponsor of this light of ours, activist photographers of the Civil Rights Movement. A dynamic new exhibition on view now at the Skirball Cultural Center in Los Angeles. This light of ours showcases more than 150 photos taken by movement insiders from diverse backgrounds that reveal the vital work undertaken by a broad coalition of organizers and everyday people whose collective action changed America. This light of ours is one of 3 temporary exhibitions currently on view at the Skirball, which together explore issues related to civil rights, immigration, and pluralism. Tickets and more information for all 3 exhibitions are available at skirball.org. That's skirball.org. SKIRBALL.org.
Psst. Hey, I have a secret. I use Secret Whole Body Deodorant because more than just my armpits stink.
Oh, can I use it where my bra rubs under my...
Oh, yeah.
And what about down there? You know, my...
Totally. 4 out of 5 gynecologists would recommend it. So I tried it, and now I get 72 hours of freshness from my pits to my...
Ooh, I love that it's a spray.
Me too. And it comes in sticks and creams too. Go get your Secret Whole Body Deodorant.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Don't settle for bumps, ingrowns, and itch due to dry skin. Try Venus for pubic hair and skin, the razor and regimen specifically designed for your pubic area. Featuring a razor with patented irritation defense bar and skincare regimen that is dermatologist and gynecologist tested. Venus helps protect your pubic skin from shave irritation. Discover the full regimen of products at GilletteVenus.com.
We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
Okay, so I'm looking forward
Thanks for waking up.
to the conversation with Attorney Connie Rice, who'll be on next hour. We'll talk about her op-ed in the Los Angeles Times, where she kind of lays out what we need to think about before we select the next chief of police. And that is not something we select, by the way. That is the LA Police Commission, the mayor, and the city council. So we do have input. We have input by being outspoken about it, by making it a hot topic, by protesting, by, giving public comment at the police commission meeting or the LA City Council meeting. All of those are ways in which we can impact the choice of the next chief of police. And I believe the fact that Chief Moore is stepping down at the end of this month is partly because of the conversation and the activism around this. He's been replaced by, a loyalist of his, Dominique Choi, who's the first Asian American police chief, but he will not be considered for the permanent position, which is a 5-year term, right? You got 5 years, and then you have to be reappointed. I think you can do 2 terms, if I'm not mistaken. But LA Times, had an article where they were talking about how can anyone stand out in this DA's race. Well, it'll be a lot clearer in the runoff. There'll be just 2 people. But one of the ways is exactly what I was talking about. Who is a disgruntled or angry member of the current district attorney's office who is in opposition to the reforms that we voted in? If you say that if you're one of, KBLA did our public research, the polling, that survey, it's still on our website if you want to see it, which is focused on public safety and specifically the district attorney's race. And if you're like the majority of people that responded, these are Black LA County likely voters, you say that you feel less safe 2 years ago than less safe now than you did a year or 2 ago. And it is true that we say that every poll. 10 years ago, we said we felt less safe than 2 years ago. 5 years ago, we said we felt less safe than 2 years ago. So maybe, it's just, I don't know why we do that. Maybe it's the news cycles, because we probably said in 2000 that we felt less safe than 1998. But if you look at the trend line, the post-crack era and the rise of the gang intervention model and these restorative justice models, you can see that particularly when it comes to homicide, which I would argue is the worst violent crime because it's irreversible. Once you're gone, you're gone. Same problem with the death penalty. Whoops, we made a mistake. Can't bring the guy back or the woman. So, when you look at policies like that, it makes it a little easier to get some clarity, right? And for me, we can't just base it on how we feel. If we're constantly feeling that we're not as safe as we were 2 years ago, even though the data show we are actually safer in some instances, then we got to do a deeper dive. And apparently, according to the LA Times, nearly all of the 11 challengers want to roll back some or all of Gascon's restrictions on the use of the death penalty. When people say that DA Gascon got up on his first day in office and made these announcements of all these changes without due diligence, or he did it abruptly, I think they're forgetting that that's what we, the voters, asked for. We asked for these specific things. It is not, and the other thing is the backlash that's happening now. It's not just in LA. It's all over the country, right? Where progressives who are put in because the voters were becoming more conscious or so-called woke during 2020 wanted to change the injustice that they saw. Now, we've been through the emergency phase of the pandemic. Everybody's gotten more fearful. And as usual, we see backlash, right? We move forward, backlash. But let's not backlash ourselves in a way that goes against our best interests. So they make this statement that, to me, that alone, all of them want to roll back restrictions on the use of the death penalty. Well, the death penalty does not make you safer. There have been tons of studies showing this. There is no deterrent effect. Oh, I'm not going to murder someone because I might get the death penalty, said no criminal ever. Okay? And we know that it is unevenly applied, with black people being far more likely to be killed by the state. And that's a problem. So that right there is a disqualifier for nearly all of these candidates. And, of course, you got to go with what you think. But like I said, we've got folks, we have interviews. One of the people who did come in, I give him credit for that, did have a conversation with me, is Nathan Hochman. He is not a member of the district attorney's office, but he is someone who was not too long ago was a Republican. He ran for attorney general for the state of California and lost to Rob Bonta, first Filipino-American to be attorney general, a progressive. This guy, Nathan Hochman, is raising tons of money. Maybe it's because he has that statewide profile from being, recently running for Attorney General. He's raised over $1.5 million, and he is on TV. He said when he came on this show that he is unjustly being painted as a MAGA Republican, claims he's never voted for Donald Trump, even though he was a Republican until, I don't know, just very recently. He's a federal prosecutor and a defense attorney, and he again, these guys, none of these guys are polling really, really well, but I think that can change, right? Even though voting has already started, you can fill out your mail-in ballot right now and send it back. You don't need postage. I think it was in YouTube in the chat, it might have been on social media, who said that they had filled in their ballot, but they were just waiting for the polling stations to open because they like to drop off their mail-in ballot, fill it in, and then take it to a polling station. You can do that. You can put it in the LA County drop boxes. So from that perspective, voting is already on. The last day to vote is March 5th. That can change because we still have, 2 weeks? Something like that, a little more than 2 weeks to vote, 2.5 weeks. And there's going to be a lot of political spending in the next 2 weeks. If you are not confused now, they're going to try to make sure you are confused by March 5th, if you're a March 5th voter. I know more, during the height of the lockdown, many of us got in the habit of voting by mail. But I know that the majority of us vote on Election Day, March 5th, because, like I said, people are always texting me, emailing me, and DMing me, asking me how to vote on what. I would imagine Hochman will probably be a contender just because he's got a lot of money. And I would imagine if I was DA George Gascon, that's somebody I would want to run against him because he's a former Republican, and it makes the contrast greater. It makes it where you have to you're either completely turning your back on the reform that we the voters said we wanted in 2020, which DA George Gascon has accomplished. Not everything we wanted, but he has made a fair amount of progress. And then, the other one who's not coming out of the DA's office is Jeff Chemerinsky, where Hochman might be, going after Gascon from a pretty significantly further to the right perspective. Jeff Chemerinsky is probably just slightly to the right. Like, he's running more in Gascon's lane. He has actually done pretty well on fundraising too, but is not, at least not according to the polling I've seen, not getting traction, at least not yet. He is, from just now, I'm going off the interview that we did, which you can hear if you go to KBLA1580.com, is less likely to undo all of the progressive portfolio, but is still running to the right of Gascon. And I don't see how you cannot, because, if there's a backlash, hardly anyone is going to be brave enough to say, well, I think we haven't gone far enough, abolish the police, defund the police. That's not happening. And I think we have to be aware of getting caught up in negative polling. We hear a lot of negative polling about the district attorney, but that negative polling got people all worked up about these recall votes, and the district attorney handily and easily won those to retain the position. 800-920-1580. I'd love to hear your thoughts I'm Dominique DiPrima, and this is a KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
It's time to represent your community in the 2024 presidential primary election. When you vote, you get to decide what is best for you, your neighborhood, and your family. Use your power. Make a plan to vote today. Visit plan.lavote.gov. That's plan.lavote.gov to get everything you need to vote in the March 5th presidential primary election. Brought to you by the Los Angeles County Registrar.
City of Los Angeles tenants, get informed today about your eviction rights. Take immediate action if you receive an eviction notice from the court. You have 5 days to respond to an eviction notice or unlawful detainer. Don't self-evict. And you can't be evicted for non-payment of rent unless you owe more than the fair market rent for a unit your size. Learn more eviction information such as at-fault and no-fault evictions at housing.lacity.org. Be informed, be protected, be at home.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Gabby.
Hey, Gabby. It's Jennifer Coolidge. Hi. I'm so glad I reached you at 2 a.m.
Oh, of course. Anyone with a Discover card can call and talk to a real person 24/7. Now, how can I help?
Yeah, I used my Discover card to buy these yellow pleather pajamas, and I'm just not sure I'm pulling them off.
24/7 U.S.-based customer service. It pays to Discover. Limitations apply. Learn more at discover.com/creditcard.
Oh, this cold.
Honey?
Honey?
Honey, you need DayQuil Severe Honey.
DayQuil Severe Honey gives you powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a honeylicious taste, because life doesn't stop for a cold.
Okay, I'm ready to go.
Now I'm getting a cold.
Honey.
Try DayQuil Severe Honey for powerful cold and flu relief. DayQuil Severe with honey flavor. The daytime coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever, honeylicious, power through your day medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
If you're looking for the most epic place on earth, let's start at the base of a massive waterfall. Then trek through the thick jungle. Then climb to the peak of a snowy mountaintop. Then once you get there, keep going. Because with intelligent 4x4 and 7 drive modes and a Nissan Pathfinder, the search is the real adventure.
Available feature. Intelligent 4x4 cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do more than just talk.
You got a big mouth. Hello, Joe, you're up. Welcome.
We're unapologetically progressive, and we don't black down.
I stand corrected. According to the LA Times, Dan Kaplowitz, a defense attorney, is running to the left of Gascon, and he calls all of the other DA candidates mass incarcerators. But I would say he has, as much chance of being the next LA County District Attorney as I do, and I'm not even a lawyer. A lot of you have been talking about Deputy DA John McKinney. He was on this show. Again, you can hear the interview. It is on KBLA1580.com. He's advertising on this station, and he's black. So for a lot of us, we say, oh, well, we should have a black DA. And I'm always happy to have more black electeds. I do think, though, that we need to have take a moment and look at, what happened with DA Jackie Lacey when we were so thrilled to have a black DA, and just make sure we hold this man to the same scrutiny we would hold any other person running to be the top incarcerator of incarcerator in chief. I mean, that's obviously a simplistic description of the LA County District Attorney, but he is, McKinney he's a lock 'em up. He's a long time prosecutor. And he was clear in our conversation that he is diametrically opposed to all of the reforms that we the voters asked for. The repeal of the death penalty, charging children as children, treating children as children, not as adults, the removal or reduction of the various enhancements, including gang enhancements. So, just be clear on what you're voting for. I think that my personal opinion at this point. And, you know, people say I ask tough questions. And I'm not trying to be tough. I never set out to be tough. What I try to do is remember that it's my job to get the information you need to make an informed decision. And sure, I have my opinions. This is talk radio. But when I'm talking with a candidate, whether they're running for judge or DA or mayor or whatever it might be, I do my best to be fair and unbalanced. I'm just kidding about the unbalanced part. That's more of a commentary on my mental state. But to be fair means asking the questions that need to be asked, even if they're not easy. For a progressive candidate, a candidate that you like or that you're likely to vote for, because it's not about personally, do I like you? It's about what policies will emerge from you being elected. That's what it's about for me. Whether I like you or not, that's a different conversation about who I might hang out with, which may not always be who I vote for. No. I think we got to be mature in that. But I do think, to quote Knock LA, which has a progressive voting guide, that District Attorney George Gascon has to an impressive degree made good on the promises of his election. It seems to me that if we are sincere about criminal justice reform as we voted for it, as we marched for it, as we petitioned and boycotted and educated for it, then we ought to give this guy a fair shot at finishing what he started. We ought to be cognizant of the fact that many of the obstacles that were put in the way have been put up by people who never agreed with that reform in the first place. And that if, the guy's not popular, people say he's made stumbles, that he has a weird management style. All that may be true. I don't know. I don't work in the DA's office. But what I do know is that if I elected you to get certain things done and you've made significant progress on getting those things done, I'm going to give you another term to try to finish what you started, or at least get it further down the road so that it could become institutionalized and not so easily undone by the next guy or woman. 800-920-1580. You're always invited to clap back, chime in, be the amen corner, whatever you want to do this morning. I'm Dominique DiPrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to gear with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment through the arts. Tia Chucha Central Cultural is on a mission to transform community in the Northeast San Fernando Valley and beyond through ancestral knowledge, the arts, literacy, and creative engagement. The Northeast San Fernando Valley has a population of about 500,000, the size of the city of Oakland, yet it has no bookstores, art galleries, or full-fledged cultural spaces until Tia Chuchas opened its doors in 2001. Founded by renowned poet and activist Luis Rodriguez, Tia Chuchas Cultural Center provides a year-round free or low-cost arts and literacy bilingual intergenerational programming in mural painting, music, dance, writing, visual arts, healing art sessions, and healing talking circles. Activities also include Mexica, Aztec dance, indigenous cosmology, philosophy, and 2 weekly open mic nights, one in Spanish, the other in English. In addition, they host author readings, film screenings, and art exhibits. To express yourself, heal yourself, attend an event, or volunteer, please visit www.tiachucha.org. That's TIACHUCHA.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Febreze. So my home is also my office. And before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up, then spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day. Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
We knew you'd stick around. This is LA's home for progressive talk radio. Be heard. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
Right, so I decided to spend some time talking about the district attorney's race this morning because, as I said, I think it's the most important race, possibly, arguably, on the ballot right now, which your ballots should be in your mailbox, and we are already in voting season. There's a few that are coming in. Of course, like I said, I'll be fair. I have an open mind, and maybe, you'll sway me, but I also read. If I don't attend your debate, I'm reading about it. I am thinking about it. I voted for, okay, I forgot to turn off my phone. Sorry. I voted for Gascon when he ran the first time. And I am leaning heavily toward Gascon right now, unless somebody, convinces me otherwise. Why would you not let this person finish what we asked them to do? The Knock LA Progressive Voter Guide does have some reference to what I was just talking about. It says, and I quote, Gascon's tenure does have some clear weaknesses. His reforms tend to arrive as proclamations from on high without real effort to promote or explain the moves to the county or even his own employees. And it says his office has been hesitant to bring charges against killer cops, although we have seen that, something we saw zero of in the prior administration. That said, Gascon has made major strides to improve criminal legal practices in Los Angeles and will hopefully continue to build upon that framework. And there's something they said I think is really, really important. The contest here is not reform versus safety, but reform and safety against empty fear and prejudice. That is key. It's not we're going to root out anti-blackness in our criminal justice system and let our city and county go to hell in a handbasket, or we're going to be safe and lock everybody up. That's a false choice. We can choose reform and safety. I think it's such an important point. We don't have to have a white lash or a black lash, whatever you want to, whichever side of the aisle you're looking at it from. We can have continuity of purpose, and we can continue the reform and improvement that we all saw so clearly was needed in the 2020 election. Attorney Connie Rice joins me next on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Good morning, I'm Ray Harris, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Congress is on a 2-week recess as the clock is ticking